Okay, so let's wrap up Istanbul and move on to something else. I mean, there are a few other bits and pieces about the Istanbul that just doesn't make sense. You know, you got somebody who jumped out into the water and nothing really ever came of that, which is a bit like the Westminster thing. It just adds effect. That's all it really is. This picture here, you've got three pictures in frames on one side, separated by a flag, and then the same three pictures without frames on the other side, and they're sort of spread out as if to make it look worse than what it is. It just looks like a set-up picture, especially since these are the same pictures that then end up in a newspaper. I mean, if you were a family member and you had a photograph, you should in theory have a photo that the news don't get their hands on. But maybe I'm reaching, but the thing is that you still get the same things at the back end of these events. So I know Turkey is a bit of a hotspot for this sort of stuff, but you get the military style police, and you certainly get a decent photo that's pushed out there for the same reasons what I mentioned in previous videos. Now, whilst it isn't such a common theme, it is something that you'll find in certain events, a reaction to an action. So, for example, 9/11 happens, we invade another country, and a lot of people believe that 9/11 was just simply a catalyst in order to invade a country to take their oil. So with that sort of thought in mind, a similar thing happened with this particular event. After this particular event occurred, Turkish jets went on to bomb supposedly ISIS targets. It's difficult to explain my way of thinking with this, but for example, if you wanted to invade a country, you've got to have public support, and public support is hard to get. So when you get events like this, so a particularly westernized nightclub gets attacked by an ISIS terrorist, blowing them up the next day doesn't seem all big a deal, and certainly you wouldn't get much opposition if that was the story you told. But anyway, I mean, the reasons behind these attacks, I mean, we've touched on it only briefly. There's a lot more sinister things involved when it comes to this stuff. The phrase order out to chaos, which is something you might have come across before, it is the very definition behind these things. But like I say, we're trying to cover each event and sort of get the basics, and then we can look into that side of it in a later date. So as I mentioned, because we were covering this as a nightclub attack, the next one we're going to look at is Orlando. So you'll have to bear with me with this one so I can get everything together. But thanks very much for watching.